Hey guys, welcome to my show, the Captain O Show. I've been needing to get to this video for quite a while now. Today's video is on how to get started. If you're planning on being a pilot for recreational purposes, or you just want to have some fun up there, or you want to be an airline pilot, cargo, whatever you're into, today's video is going to help you if you have any questions on the process of just I'm going to talk about the basics today. So let's jump into it. First thing you're going to want to do is find a flight school. So it just depends on what you're looking for. There are two main types of flight schools that you can get involved in. FAA Part 141. 141 is for like full-time students who are looking for a career in like the airlines, and you got the time, you got the finances, and you can just, every day you're going to be in there learning. You're going to get tested at the end of the week or at the end of at the end of the quarter. You got to pass all your tests, at least at the flight schools I've been at, 80% or more to get a pass. It's a lot more structured than the other Part 61 flight schools, where it's just, an FBO, you and your instructor. The 141 is like, your major flight schools, Arizona State, North Dakota, places like that, where it's very structured, and it's, every week you're in that classroom. For 141, for your private pilot certificate, hour requirements, you only need 35 hours, but the national average is like 50 to like 70 hours. So if you really bust it out, you might be able to get it done in like 40, 45 if you really get a hold of it. But like I said, national average 50 to 70 hours, somewhere around there. And the flight school, I was doing 141, and the flight school I was at, they were giving people their private and like 80 to 100, especially if you were VA. And also 141 is good also as well if you're a VA student. You got those military benefits, and 141 would be a good benefit to you. Then, so I was 141, got 35 hours under 141, experienced that. It was great. But now I'm Part 61, just me and my instructor down, and I went down to Arizona because I'm getting a pretty good deal. His name's Aaron Grissom. He's a captain for Mesa Airlines, and now I'm down at Falcon Field in Mesa, Arizona, doing my training down there. So that's where I'll be at probably for the rest of my flight training. Part 61, just specifically, that's you and your instructor. It's a lot better for part-time students who can't spend all day in the classroom or whatever, like you've got a life. I got my family, I've got work, I've got like this, my YouTube channel. I've got a lot of things going on, a lot of people I'm trying to help, a lot of places, things I'm trying to do, and places I'm trying to go, traveling, all that stuff. So Part 61 is a lot better for me, and I'm blessed to have the airline job so that I can, hop on the flights and head down to Phoenix and, bust that out whenever I need to go down there. So that's a blessing. But yeah, Part 61 is more of, more personal. You need 40 hours is the minimum requirement, but again, the national average is about the same for Part 61 students as well. Next thing you need to know to help you get started is you need to find out where you want to go with your career, because you want to go for the airlines, you need a first-class medical certificate from an FAA certified medical examiner. So you can look them up on the internet, find out who's near you. I went to a pretty good one here in the Washington, Seattle area. You're going to need, if you're planning on being an airline pilot, you're going to need a first-class medical. So you want to go knock that out before you start your training so that you know and understand where you're at. If you pass your medical, you're pretty healthy, you should be fine. But you don't want to like get to your commercial pilot's license and figure out you can't pass your first-class medical, because you got to have that to, work for the airlines, to pilot for the airlines. You got to have that first class. So I have it right here. You can see it there. first class medical, and also my student pilot certificate. All came with one package. It's signed by the examiner, and I believe you have to go online and fill out some forms and sign up to the website for the federal website, I believe, as well, so if I remember correctly, to even get that. So it's not that hard. And also have a TSA endorsement. Okay, so a lot of you, I'm sure, are wondering, what do you need? Here's what you need as far as your materials go, like your books and what to study and all that. I'm going to put this medical back on my kneeboard. Once you find your flight school, get your medical, get everything taken care of, get your money together, you're going to need to start off with your logbook. Definitely going to need that to for you, so you and your instructor can log all of your hours, and then you can sign. So you put your name in it, and then you start marking off your hours after every flight. I got a total of 43 hours now. You'll need a logbook. Okay. Here's your Jefferson Private Pilot Guided Flight Discovery. This is for your knowledge. If you're in 141 school, you'll definitely need this every day. If you guys are going to go through the syllabuses in class and using this book. It's definitely a good read. It will tell you everything you need to know, and most of the stuff will be on your written test, and also a lot of it on your oral. You will need a POH, Pilot Operating Handbook. There's also something that's held in the airplane called the AFM. It's the flight manual that's required to stay in the aircraft. It's specific to your actual aircraft, and it's got pretty much the same information in it. But this will tell you everything you need to know about your airplane. You will need a private pilot syllabus. One of the most important things that you cannot go without is the FAR-AIM, Federal Aviation Regulations, and your Aeronautical Information Manual. This is something that you don't necessarily need. This is the Visualized Flight Maneuvers Handbook, and this will walk you through the maneuvers from the rudder pedals to the trim, the turn coordinator, your flaps, your power settings, and it opens up like this as well to kind of show you what the maneuver is, how it's supposed to be performed, and what it's supposed to look like. This next book is the material you'll need for your testing. So for your knowledge test, I have an ASA test prep 2016 version. You're going to go through this and study everything you need to know to pass your test. It's got all the questions that would be on the test in there, and it'll tell you whether you're wrong or you go through it. You read the information it gives you here, then you'll have some questions, and then it'll tell you the answers at the bottom. So get you a test prep book, and that will really help you with your tests. Also, you want to pick up one of these. This is a AFD, Airport Facility Directory. It will tell you everything you need to know about all the airports in your area. You will also need, this is very, very important, you're going to have to learn this. This is your airspaces. This will show you, cities, lakes, rivers, train tracks, towers, everything, all your terrain. It gives you your maximum heights of terrain here in the dark blue. It shows you the Mode C VIO, where you need a Mode C transponder. It shows you, like, that's SeaTac there in the middle, you can see there, and it'll give you your base floors for your airspace, and then also your ceiling. So we've got a few Class E, restricted, military operating area. There's Mount Rainier down there at the bottom here. We've got Class C airport up here at Whidbey Island. Yeah, so you're gonna have to learn this stuff, and you use it. There's a legend here actually. You can learn everything just right there on the map. It also has it in the Jefferson Private Pilot book, and just become very familiar with the sectional chart. And this is a plotter. You want to grab one of these. This will help you with your cross-country flight planning. So it's got nautical miles on here, and also statute miles. And then you can get your courses with this. So this next thing I'm going to talk about is the knee board. It's an ASA knee board. You strap this thing to whichever leg, left or right, whatever is more comfortable for you and makes more sense. Strap this to your leg while you're flying. So you've got all your information, your sectional chart, and all that, and your boards all inside here, where you can write down your ATC clearances, your ATIS information, and here's a little board in here. I've got my sectional for Arizona on this one, because I was currently using this one down there. Just slide that back in here. It's got let me unhook it. It's got a section for your pins, so you'll have that. And it's got a place where you can put your E6B calculator, which you'll use for fuel calculations, true airspeed, all that good stuff when you're doing your performance and planning. There's a lot of little pockets in here where you can keep stuff. I keep my medical in here, and also keep a TAC in here and some other maps. And then also I like to keep my logbook on me, because you need that. So yeah, that's your knee board. You'll have everything you need while you're flying at, in arm's distance. Also, don't let me forget, you will need a flight bag. Doesn't have to be this big, doesn't have to look like this. You can actually use your backpack. Just have a bag that you can put in the back while you're flying with all your materials in it. So yeah, I like flight bags, they help a lot. Also, you're going to need a headset. A lot of places have ones where you can borrow theirs, but you're going to want your own. So you just open this up here, take it out. Typical, headset, aviation headset. This is the David & Clark. These ones are pretty good. You just put this thing on once you turn on your avionics. Put the mic next to your mouth. I usually plug mine in before I put it on. Then your mic and your speaker, and there's two holes to plug them in the airplane underneath the dashboard, or on the side of the panel, the instrument panel. And then you'll just plug those in, and it's got a volume control right here. You can turn it up or turn it down so you can hear better, or if you don't want it so loud. But yeah, this cost me about $250 because I got it from someone who it was used. They're usually kind of expensive, so just be prepared for that. All these books and all this stuff, be prepared to invest about, I'd say, $500 in your materials alone. And most flight training is anywhere from $180 to $215 an hour nowadays. Whether you're wet or dry rate. Wet rate is with charging you for fuel and oil. Dry rate is the opposite. So there's your headset. And that's $500 worth of stuff right there. Now I'm down in Arizona. I'm at Classic Air Aviation in Falcon Field, and we're going to talk about eligibility requirements. So, got this little pamphlet here. It talks about what you need to be a private pilot. So first off, like I said, choose your flight school, get your books, your materials, get your money together, financial aid for the 141 schools, Part 61. They also have, financial packets that they offer, accelerated programs, all that stuff. So get that stuff squared away and get your medical. To answer some of your questions, let's get into the meat of this. What is a private pilot? If you want to be a private pilot, the private pilot certificate is a cornerstone of flying yourself from point A to point B, and the starting point for those who intend to continue adding future ratings or pursue a career. What are the eligibility requirements? Well, you must be at least 17 years of age, be able to read, speak, and write the English language, pass the required knowledge tests, receive training and logbook endorsements from an authorized instructor, meet the aeronautical experience requirements, comply with appropriate sections of this part that apply to the aircraft category and class rating sought. Getting started. So about eligibility, those are the things you need. Just give you let's jump into, let's do this here. The first few weeks of training leading up to your first solo in an aircraft will consist of classroom instruction covering the basics of aerodynamics, airport markings, radio communications, airspace, federal regulations. Before you get in the airplane, you will also have a pre-takeoff briefing with the instructor detailing exactly what's going to happen and when you are completing your flight lessons. So that goes into having all your materials ready, like your NEBOR, your sectionals, all that stuff, and then also your private pilot syllabus. We'll kind of talk about that before you go up, and then afterwards. And then once in the airplane, you will be practicing flight maneuvers with the instructor and will eventually become proficient to the FAA practical test standards. It's actually going from PTS to ACS, which is more situational scenarios rather than just, whatever the PTS is, excuse me. A few examples of what you will see within the private pilot syllabus. Power on, power off stalls. Let's get into that for a minute. These are a little bit intimidating. I believe lesson 3 is starting your stalls, and your instructor will show you pretty much every kind of stall you can get yourself into. Accelerated stalls, power on, power off, all that. So the power off stall is kind of the least of the two. That one you're going to drop and all of your flaps. You're going to cut your power all the way back and slow the airplane down to like approach speed, like you're coming into land. And then you're just going to pull back on the controls, and it's going to slow down in what's called an aerodynamic stall, to where the airflow over the wings, you exceed the critical angle of attack. So the airflow over the wings, usually it flows over the top and the bottom, and when you go at a too high of an angle of attack, the airflow separates, and your wing basically doesn't have enough smooth airflow over it to fly anymore. It still is generating a little bit of lift, but it's going to buff it. The airplane will shake a little bit, and then it's going to drop down, nose over on you, until, because when you lower your nose, you build speed, so it's going to come down on you until it can gain enough airspeed again to go back to level flight. So usually I just let go and let it drop, stay coordinated, and recover, add full power, flaps 20, get my airspeed back, and then climb out at VX, which is best angle of climb, 59 knots, so you're pretty nose high, clear your obstacles, pull up another degree of flaps so you're at 10 degrees, and then go to VY, which is best rate of climb. And once you clear your obstacles, keep building your airspeed back, hold level flight, and then bring that last notch of flaps up to 0, and you're back where you started. Now, the power on stall is a lot more, let's say, intimidating. This one is simulating a departure stall, so like a stall after takeoff. So you slow down to your rotation speed, which is when you start pulling the nose back on takeoff to lift the nose in the air. That's called rotation. You slow down to your rotation speed, and then once you hit your rotation speed, you put that right rudder in, and you give it full power at about, with my airplane, it's about 55 knots, 58, 60 miles an hour, and then you give it full power. You ease that nose back up in the sky, and it is full power, so it doesn't want to stall right away. So you're gonna have to pull it back pretty steeply and keep a lot of right rudder in, because you got left turning tendency, P factor, all that. The airplane wants to yaw to the left when you're at a high angle of attack and high power setting. So when it finally buffets and stalls, it's gonna nose over pretty good on you, depending on how hard you're holding that yoke back. So, and you don't want to let it yaw to left or right. You got to keep the ball in the center of the turn coordinator, because if you don't, it'll drop one way or the other. One wing, you'll get a wing drop, and which could lead to a spin, which is a little bit more serious. So, want to make sure, the main thing is just relax, be calm, and keep that thing coordinated. So that's power on stall. Steep turns. This one was actually probably one of the most difficult maneuvers for me. You're going to turn that airplane 45 degrees left or 45 degrees right after you do your clearing turns, and you're gonna drop in. You're gonna trim it nose up, 2 rolls of trim, which is poor man's autopilot. That'll hold it, help you hold it wherever you put that yoke. That'll help you hold it there. You're gonna trim it nose up as you go into your turn. You want about, I'd say, 90 knots. Will keep you at a safe speed so you don't end up in an accelerated stall. And you turn it 45 degrees over, and then hold that nose right where you want it. And then you're gonna have to watch your power setting, because you don't want to descend. In aviation, we use power for altitude and pitch for airspeed. So if you're descending, you want to add power. If you're climbing, you want to take some power off. And if you want to speed up, you lower your nose. If you want to slow down, you raise your nose. So anyway, and then you start off at a reference. Like I like to use, when I'm in Washington, I like to use Mount Rainier, and I'll do a steep turn to the left, come all the way back around, and then as I'm coming around back to my reference, I'll roll out that trim, 2 rolls back out, and then I'll push forward so it doesn't balloon, and then go the other way, and 45 to the right now, and then roll back in those, maybe cut some power out, and then roll back in those nose up, 2 rolls of nose up pitch, and then add power back in just a little bit to keep my altitude. So, and then come all the way back around to my reference and roll out. Like I said, push down and cut some power, keep it from ballooning. And then you have ground reference maneuvers. I was never too good at these. I didn't even practice them that much until, me and Aaron started flying down in Arizona, and I'm going to do a video on these as well. Ground reference maneuvers, basically now you just want to keep, the same distance. Like say you're doing your, what's that called? Let's just go with S turns across the road. You want to roll into your turn and use this, like say you're using 30-degree pitch. You're going to make an S, but you want to roll into it starting at your point, and then as you go back and hit the road, you want to be level right as you cross the road, and then roll the other way. And whatever pitch you use for your turn, when you first started the S, when you're doing the top part of the S, you want to use that same amount of pitch and keep your airspeed and your altitude all the same. But the key is to roll back out. Your wings should be level every time you cross that road. So you don't want to level your wings before you cross it. I'm not too good at explaining some of this stuff. Like I said, I'm a student pilot. I'm still learning, but not an instructor. So emergency procedures. Definitely, you're going to have a few engine out landings. He's not going to cut the engine. Your instructor won't cut the engine off, but he'll cut the power. And you got to pitch for your best glide speed and angle. So in my aircraft, it's 65. So I just pitch the aircraft till it is basically gliding at 65 knots, and then I maneuver it with the rudder pedals. Try not to make too big of turns to where I want it to go, and you got to make your point. So for, let's say you're descending at 500 feet per minute, and you're at let's go 3,000 feet. You've got depending on your AGL altitude, you've got 5-6 minutes to for that thing before you're on the ground. So you want to make wherever your target field or runway or wherever you're trying to get to, you want to make sure that you get that thing down safely and you hold your best glide speed. You don't want to go too fast or too slow. You go too fast, you'll descend too quick. Go too slow, you might end up in a stall and you're already near the ground, so don't do that. Then you got pattern work. You'll learn how to talk to air traffic control if you're at a controlled airfield, or at an uncontrolled. You'll be making radio calls and announcing where you're at and your intentions. So the optimum training schedule is 3 to 4 days per week. Practice and understanding is essential to safe flying. If you can, you do what you can, with your finances. Mine's been broken up, and I've, suffered a little bit for that as far as my proficiency. But, I'm doing the best with the little I got. So if I can do it, you guys can do it, Okay. Keeping your costs down. To make the most out of your time and money, it's always the best to have any appropriate reading done before you get to your lesson. Always be sure to write down any questions at home so you can go over any concepts you don't understand with your instructor. It's definitely a good one. Do your studying. Don't study too hard. You don't want to overwhelm yourself because you want to focus on the flying as well, but you definitely need to get your study done. Ground and flying. Over the course of your training, they'll provide you with all the required knowledge to complete your knowledge exams. It'll be completed through reading textbooks and classroom instruction. Some online video-based training programs available. So what you'll do when you get to your school is you'll go through your basic, first 10 to 20 hours of training, and then you'll do your first solo, which is awesome. That's the first time you'll fly by yourself. Your instructor will take you up. You'll do 3 takeoffs and landings in a pattern with him, and then he'll step out and you'll do 3 on your own. So of course you're going to have a lot of he's not going to let you solo until he feels comfortable letting you solo, because that's on him, if something happens. So you're going to work on a lot of landings, a lot of takeoffs, a lot of pattern work, and then a lot of maneuvers for your first 20 hours. So yeah. Then you're going to do some more advanced training, then flight planning, and then cross-country flying, and then you're going to move on to your check ride. Let's talk about the exams to get you there. To get your private pilot's license, you'll need to pass a series of exams. You want to pass them with ease and gain knowledge to fly with safety and confidence. Yes, those are good points. Your written exam. This multiple choice proctored exam must be taken at a designated CATS facility and must be passed before scheduling your check ride with a designated FAA flight examiner. The written exam will test your knowledge on a variety of aviation subjects, including all those ones we've been over before: aircraft systems, weather, flight planning, navigation, emergency procedures, and aircraft control. So yeah, that's what your written will be over. I believe you have to get 70% to pass or more. So just be on your game. Take it seriously. Oral exam. This exam will be administered by the FAA Designated Flight Examiner (DPE) on the day of your check ride. Information discussed is similar to that covered in the written exam and will test your ability to effectively discuss your awareness of safety, proper flight procedures and handling of emergency situations. Before the exam, you will be asked to plan a flight to a certain destination, which you will then discuss with your flight examiner. So they basically want to see, basically if they're going to test your decision making and stuff like that. And they want to see, like, do you got aviation common sense, of course your knowledge stuff, like your written. It'll be the oral exam, I hear, is the hardest part probably. And then the flight exam. This is your practical tests. They're going to be putting you in a lot of situations and seeing what you'll do. And you want to pass. You want to make sure that you're not doing anything to jeopardize the safety of that flight at any time. So you want to know what you're doing. You want to be making the right moves at all times. And your instructor will get you ready. Flight exam. You will demonstrate proper procedures, radio communications, and air traffic control to your flight examiner through the series of requested maneuvers. To pass, you must be able to execute all maneuvers within certain limits. The examiner will expect you to be able to accomplish the task given without any assistance. Rest assured, your examiner wants you to pass, but his primary job is to make sure that you are capable of flying safe. Okay, and to bring to your check ride, you will need your student pilot certificate, medical, your driver's license, original copy of your FAA written test results, your POH pilot operating handbook, your FAR AIM, your ACS and reference material, 500 in cash, verify this with the instructor, your logbook, and your login for whatever that is. I'll figure it out. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much what it takes to get a private. So let's see, what else do you guys need to know? Put that away. Also, I have here for some lucky person, I've got this little card here, and it talks about the flight training fast track or self-paced at Classic. I want you to come fly with them. Talks about the flight training, time building packages, block rates, IFR simulator, the pilot shop, discovery flights, and scenic tours. On the back here it says, bring this card with you to receive $25 off your first flight. So whoever, probably going to give this to my buddy Nico. Nico, I'm going to hook you up here, $25 off your first flight. So yeah. Also, if anyone would like to come back seat with me, I'm pretty sure my instructor is cool with it. So I'll be taking a few people down to Arizona. Well, you can fly down there on your own through non-rev, and then we can go up and you can see if you like it or not and want to get started. You don't have to fly in Arizona, but that's where I can kind of steer you towards success. Be safe out there, guys. The main thing is you want to be safe. You want to become a good pilot. It's not always about, as far as choosing your flight schools and giving where you get everything done. You want to choose a place where they take care of their aircraft. They've got good maintenance, and overall, you're safe. So thanks for tuning into the show, Captain O Show, as usual. Subscribe. If you want more information, just comment, like. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any other questions, then just hit me up. Those of you who know me, you can talk to me anytime if you have any questions. Like I said, I'm no expert. This is not to be used for training. This is mostly entertainment, but I just want to make a video to let you guys see what you needed to do to get started. A lot of people, the biggest thing is just getting started. So take that first step. Use this information I just talked about to kind of give you an idea, and then go make it happen for yourself. So it won't be long till I have my private here, so I'm going to keep working hard and keep making videos and just keep using my resources and doing the best with what God gave me. So God bless out there. Have a good day and night wherever you are in the world. I'm out. Captain O.